Hey everyone, so first of all, a reminder, I'm in the process of moving, so if I'm a bit late on news, I apologize. This is probably something many of you have heard about, but I'm only getting to it now. But anyway, let's just dive right into it. Let's talk about Epic Games Store. Again, this is a contentious topic among gamers. Some people don't care that it exists. Others don't like how Epic has been nabbing games by throwing money around, nabbing exclusivity deals that prevent the game from being launched on the superior and much preferred Steam. So it's just been a whole debacle. Now, the latest story surrounding Epic revolves around a sale that they recently carried out. They tried to get ahead of Steam, essentially. Steam does their sale in June usually. Epic wanted to get it done in May, kind of get a head start. But along the way, they rushed a few things and some things were confused and developers and consumers alike weren't happy with the results. So the Epic Mega Sale, as it's known, was announced on May 16th, 2019 on this website. And it reads right here that it's intended to run from May 16th to June 13th. So exactly 1 month or 4 weeks. Here are the details of the sale as stipulated in this announcement, which reads, quote, "During the Epic Mega Sale, developers and publishers are discounting a ton of great games up to 75% off. Also, for every game purchase $15 and above, Epic Games provides an additional $10 off to you at no cost to the publisher or developer." And then beyond that, they added how they're going to offer free games every week throughout this period instead of every month. So that is 4 free games throughout the span of a month. At a glance, this all sounds pretty good. A sale is always nice for consumers, getting reduced prices and all that. But there are a couple things that Epic didn't take into consideration when pulling this off, which is why things soon began to go awry as developers one by one began pulling their games from the Epic Games Store. Not everyone pulled their games, but a couple big ones did, starting with none other than Vampire: The Masquerade Bloodlines 2. When the sale began, people wanted to pre-order this game, but out of the blue, the game just disappeared. Nobody knew why. They would get like a 404 code error. But now if you go there, instead of a pre-order button, you'll see a coming soon button, and you can't order the game right now as this sales period exists. So eventually news outlets began to get wind of this, and Kotaku specifically reached out to Epic, and Epic replied with an email that reads as follows: "If a developer or publisher chooses to not participate in our sales, we will honor that decision. Paradox Interactive has chosen to not participate in the Epic Mega Sale, and the game has been temporarily removed from sale. If you've purchased Vampire: The Masquerade Bloodlines 2 during the period when the discount did apply at the time of checkout, Epic will honor that price." So yeah, Paradox went out of their way to be like, Epic, we don't want to take part in this, pull our game out, and we'll put it back in after the sale's over. Kotaku's article then pointed out how Epic publishing director Sergey Galyankin corroborated this statement on a Russian website called DTF. On the website, Galyankin also said something to the effect of Epic thinking Paradox knew about the sale and how it would affect the game, but as it turns out, the publisher Paradox didn't have the full extent of the information in regards to what the sale entails. There seem to be aspects about this sale that Paradox just didn't know about that threw them off, that made them go, okay, no, we're pulling out. Now, Kotaku reached out to Paradox to see if they have anything to say about all this, and they issued the following response. "We are in discussion with Epic regarding the temporary removal of Vampire: The Masquerade Bloodlines 2 from the Epic Games Store. The game will return to the store soon. Any purchases made while the game was discounted during the Epic Mega Sale will be honored and no Masquerade violations will be assessed." So all Paradox is saying is we're working things out with Epic. The game will be back soon, but beyond that vague assurance, they didn't really provide any specifics. But the general assumption seems to be that the reason Paradox pulled Vampire from the store was because this sale devalued their game. As stated in the announcement, the way Epic is doing it is that anyone who purchases a game that's $15 or above will get $10 off that sale at no cost to the publisher or developer, meaning that Epic is the one incurring the cost of that discount. So Vampire: The Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is a $60 game, and because of that, Epic is saying, hey, you get $10 off because you bought it on our store, and that's on us, not on the Vampire developers. they're getting all the money. So that seems like a good idea at a glance, right? Consumers get to buy the game at a lesser price. Developers get to get all this attention, all this positive reception towards the discount without incurring the costs, and Epic gets to grow their store along the way. But what Epic didn't consider is the fact that game companies rely on discounts to sell games after launch, after they've sold the game at full price in that initial launch period. What I mean by a game being devalued is that if you sell a game at $60 and then say it's going to be discounted at $50 at launch, then that means with future discounts, you got to go lower than $50. You got to go 40 or 30. Basically, it gives publishers less control over how they can execute discounts that will generate more demand for the game once that initial launch period fizzles out. There's also the fact that Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 isn't an Epic exclusive. It is also launching on Steam, GOG, and Paradox's own store. So it's entirely possible that the developers and the publisher wants to maintain a fair price for everyone. They want everyone on the same playing field. Now, as far as Epic Store is concerned, yes, Epic is taking the hit for that $10 discount, but what about everywhere else? If Paradox wants to match that price point on Steam, GOG, and their own store, if they want to reduce those prices by $10, it is Paradox who has to take the hit for that. If it is indeed their intention to ensure that all customers get the same price point at launch. It just puts them in a situation that they didn't want. Epic obviously wants to leverage discounts as a means to attract people to the store, but Paradox might not want that kind of discrepancy when it comes to selling their game. Maybe they want everyone to experience and buy the game at $60 at launch, just to keep it fair. And then there is the issue of regional pricing. This is something that Epic Games Store has been struggling with. It's improved since launch, but it's not quite there yet. And someone in Reset Era calculated how the way it currently works, different regions do get different discounts, and in turn, people pay different prices depending on where they're living. So as if it wasn't bad enough that there's a disparity between Epic's pricing versus GOG, Steam, and all these other storefronts, now there's a disparity due to the regional pricing within Epic Store itself. There is variations of what people have to pay, and it just kind of tips the scales and it makes it all weird. Now, it's not just Vampire. Another game that's been pulled is called Oxygen, not included, by Klei Entertainment, who is the publisher and developer for that game. And when Kotaku reached out to them about what happened and why they pulled the game, they didn't respond to questions and inquiries. But this is a game that's in a similar situation as Vampire. It's not a game that's launched. It is currently in early access on Steam, but it hasn't officially launched yet, and it isn't an Epic exclusive. So we might be looking at a similar scenario in which the developer doesn't want to devalue the game before it even launches, and they want to maintain a fair price point, an even playing field for everyone who's buying it. And noteworthy about Oxygen Not Included is that they were already selling the game at a 25% discount. So the base price for that game was $25, and then 25% discount means that it's $18.74. And then when you add the Epic discount on top of that, that comes down to $8.74. That's a huge level of devaluing, which means that future discounts would have to be at around there or even lower, and that might have a negative impact on the potential to make money in the future. The general assumption seems to be that the development studio just wasn't comfortable with such a steep discount before the game even launches, so they took the nuclear option and just took the game out until this blows over. And then another game that had to react to Epic's mega sale is Supergiant's Hades, which is currently in early access as an Epic exclusive. So what happened with that game was that the base price for it is $20, and then it went on sale for like $7. But then a little bit after the game went on sale, the base price was increased to $25, and then the discounted price became $15, just sort of out of the blue. Because this came without warning, people just assumed that Supergiant increased the price so that they could inflate the discounted price. Which, you know, seems kinda shady during a sale. At the same time, it isn't uncommon for an early access game to increase its price little by little over time as more features and content is added. But the thing about Hades is that Supergiant did promise that if a price increase is coming, they would provide warning in advance, which is something they didn't do. But seeing their mistake, Supergiant did eventually decide to revert their decision. In other words, the base price of the game was brought back down to $20, and then the discounted price is now at $10. Supergiant did apologize and say that, yeah, it was our bad for not giving people a warning, and they admitted that the decision to increase the base price was made rashly because they were reacting to this Epic sale. I believe this is also one of those games that was offering a 25% discount already, and then the $10 that Epic was discounting was added on top of that, so the price just became really, really low. And I think this was Supergiant's way of mitigating that, increasing the price so that the discount was actually just the 25%. But they did say that after the sale ends, the day after on June 14th, they would be increasing the base price to $25 because they believe they've added enough content and updated the game to a point where it is at that price point where that price point feels right. So the impressions that I'm overall getting is that the discount Epic is offering on their end, that minus $10 for any game $15 or above, is something that wasn't well communicated. Epic probably thought, hey, I mean, we're offering discounts for their games and we're the ones taking the hit, not the developers. Surely the developers will be happy that people can buy their game at a reduced price. They're going to get more demand while they don't have to incur any costs. We are the ones incurring costs, but we also get to get more people into the store. They thought this was a good system, but they didn't consider how this scheme might devalue a game for future discounts, or how regional pricing might come into play and make this process messier. Now, as if all that wasn't enough, most recently, another game that pulled out was none other than Borderlands 3, which is a special case because this is indeed an Epic exclusive. It was one of Epic's biggest and most influential acquisitions, and even that game decided to pull out from the sale. So Borderlands 3 is kind of like Vampire in that it is a $60 game, and so with the discount Epic offered on their end, the minus $10, Borderlands 3 was being sold for $50 for some time before it was pulled from the store. So this all seems to indicate that 2K, despite being one of Epic's major partners, given all the games 2K assigned over to Epic, wasn't given the full details about the sale. Just something there wasn't communicated very well. Eurogamer tried to reach out to 2K to ask what happened, why Borderlands 3 was pulled from the Epic store during the sale, and here's the response they got. We're working closely with Epic and have temporarily removed Borderlands 3 from their storefront. We look forward to the game being back on the Epic Game Store soon. GameSpot during their mega sale will be honored at that price. It seems like every developer is using the exact same template for their statement. I don't know if that was something Epic provided to be like, hey, here's what you should say as we try to explain what's happening here. But either way, Borderlands 3 being pulled is particularly bizarre and somewhat embarrassing. I thought that Epic and 2K would be on the same page, given they have a close kinship now. 2K sort of signed away a lot of their games over to Epic Game Store for timed exclusivity, but apparently that's not the case. Apparently not even 2K knew about certain aspects of the sale. Again, I think the point of contention is that $10 discount that doesn't consider how games can get devalued and negatively affect how future discounts are handled. So that's that on the developer side of things. On the consumer side of things, of course, we're seeing games that people thought, oh wow, that's a really good price, and then the game gets pulled, and then some people manage to secure these games at a highly discounted price, while others now they can't even pre-order the game anymore because they're pulled until the sale is over. Prices are being changed in the case of Hades out of the blue. And the cherry on top to all this is the fact that consumers' accounts have been reported to be flagged and blocked when they purchase too many games at a time. I shouldn't say at a time, more like in sequence, because the Epic Game Store doesn't have a shopping cart option, so Epic Store users have to buy each game one by one. That's what this Twitter user going by the name Patrick Boyvin tried to do, but when he did that, here's what happened by his own account. Quote, so I can confirm that me buying a whopping 5 games ranging from $5 to $50 on the Epic Store flagged my account for possibly fraudulent. Maybe if you guys had a fucking shopping cart, Jesus Christ. And this isn't an isolated case. Plenty of others have reported similar occurrences across forums and social media platforms. And then when website Game Revolution reached out to Epic to inquire about this, Epic provided the following response. This was a result of our aggressive fraud rules. If players run into this issue, they should contact player support so we can investigate. So yeah, that's a big yikes right there. What we're looking at here is a sale in which games are being pulled out of the blue, in which prices can suddenly change, and in which accounts are suddenly getting locked because people are purchasing en masse during a sale. That's sort of what tends to happen during a sale. People buy a lot. On the developer side of things, they're scrambling to sort of try to work around what Epic has introduced here, whether by just going nuclear and pulling the game out outright, or by tweaking the price in such a way that the price of the game isn't devalued to such a large extent. And then on the consumer end of things, people are irked by how different people are buying these different games at different price points, depending on whether they managed to get there on time, buy the game on sale before it was pulled out, or whether they're in the right region. And then the issue with the accounts getting blocked because people are trying to buy as many games as possible is also not a good look. That's kind of ridiculous and mind-boggling. And then back to the developer's point of view, I mean, this is all drawing negative attention to their games. And then there's Epic. They have already garnered so much bad will from the PC gaming community, from certain segments, because of their propensity to buy games out, to bribe game developers to not release their games on Steam, this platform that is superior when it comes to being feature complete. And now this latest development all sort of further highlights the notion that the Epic Games Store just isn't ready. It is woefully undercooked, and it's just not in a state where they can force people to use that platform. I've said this before, but I feel like if Epic Store could actually compete with Steam neck on neck, then maybe there wouldn't be as much dissent against the Epic Store. But right now, it is just clearly the inferior platform. It is clearly the less experienced. It's going to make a lot of mistakes, and mistakes can happen. But when you're forcing people to use your store and to bear with your mistakes because you're buying out exclusivity deals, yeah, that's when you generate ill will. This could have been a big win for Epic. People love when games go on sale, when they can get games for cheaper. But the fact of the matter is that Epic wasn't prepared in terms of communication, coordination, and software features, and it just caused a big mess overall. Perhaps they'll learn from the mistakes here and do a much better sale next time, but first impressions matter, early impressions matter, and Epic is already, in terms of reputation, down in the gutter. So this right here really kind of only amplifies the negative circumstances and situation that the Epic Store is finding itself in the eyes of hardcore PC gamers. They needed to garner goodwill with this one. They needed to get this right, but it feels like the opposite happened. It created, I think, more negative feedback than positive. That's not to say it's a complete lost cause. There are a lot of games in the Epic Store right now that are deeply discounted, so if you browse through that library and see something you like and see a price point that you find appropriate, you can go ahead and get that. So the sale's still going on, there's still free games, there's still some stuff to look forward to. But Epic needed to stick the landing, and they definitely fumbled on multiple fronts in a way that negatively affected both developers and consumers alike. So yeah, that's sort of what's going on with this latest Epic Games Store development. These are my general thoughts and opinions. I'd love to hear what your take is on the Epic Games Store mega sale and the developers pulling out and all the shenanigans surrounding it in the comments below. With that, I would like to end this news update and discussion video. Thank you for tuning in. To be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Yong Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Yong out.